Hi, how y'all doing? It is February the 9th, 2020, either 5 or 6. Here it depends on what timeline you're on. Here in Ontario, Canada, the skies were blue in the rise. I seen the moon. It appeared around 3 o'clock in the middle of the night, and it was still in the sky when I rose at 7. So, yeah, now it's clouded over, right? So, yeah, it was cold last night. It was like minus 23 about an hour ago. It's early in the day here. Well, not that early, but early enough. Um, I slept okay last night. Woke up a couple of times. Went to sleep easy. Dreamt all night. It was all right. Not too icky, right? A lot of the pressure's left my head. Still got the bell in my ear, right? My calves started cramping, trying to cramp up around 6:30, just before I rose. They got really tight, right? And I was like, I wonder what this is about. And then I remembered it was the last quarter moon phase today. It came in at like 7:48 or something like that in the rise, right? So I'm thinking it was the energy from that. I wrote down a couple of things. The Schuman yesterday was 17. So down a bit from that 57 the day before, right? Victim mentality. I realize a lot of people suffer from it, right? The melanated community, because they've been told they were slaves for generations, which they weren't. They were prisoners of war, all right? So when you have a mentality of victimality, right, of being a victim, it's in your DNA from your ancestors and stuff, right? You get the poor me attitude, right? Poor little me. Why does this happen to me? Right? Kind of thing. Nothing ever goes right, kind of thing. So it manifests itself in many ways, right? People really need to work on this and get over it. There's no poor little you. Are you going to be a weak little bitch? Or are you going to be stand up, become a warrior? Right? I could do the poor little me thing too, but I choose not to. It doesn't serve me well, right? It doesn't matter what's going on in my life, what my body feels like. I work through it. I accept it. And I just be like, yeah, it's not who I am. It's just what's going on. Life doesn't stop because of this, right? You know what I mean? So, people that have the victim mentality too, they're always asking for advice and never take it, because it's like, what happens if, sort of thing. You just got to make up your mind. Don't be a victim, right? Should have made a video about this last night when it was fresh in my mind. But I see it in people all the time, right? Help me, right? You know what I mean? Give me money, give me whatever, right? You know what I mean? This is just victim mentality. So, yeah. Did you know that you get a virus from being a cannibal? Right? It's called, what is it again? Kuru. Kuru. The Kuru virus, right? And what it does is it starts emancipating your body. It starts breaking you down. You start withering. Your mind starts going. Onset early dementia, they call it, right? And it gets to a point where your legs don't work, your body don't work anymore. You just lay around until you go crazy and then you die, right? So what we've been seeing with a lot of these Hollywood stars and these people in the limelight, right? They've changed a lot, and they're all blaming it on Ozempic, right? Although any drug from a pharmacy is bad, it's poison, right? Even the Ozempic is really bad, but it is the effects of being a cannibal. They're turning into weak little bitches, right? You know what I mean? So if you start seeing people break down and getting really, frail and stuff like that, yeah, you might consider that what their diet is or was, right? I believe that's adrenochrome too, right? Once they get cut off of that, they start turning into that. The Kuru virus takes effect, right? And they just get smaller and smaller until finally they're no more, right? They can't do anything. They become a burden. So yeah, interesting. Good reason not to be one of those people, right? You know what I mean? Or those beings. I think so. Same as, have you ever heard of, what's it called, cinematics? Right? In all the so-called ancient buildings where they have the spirals and they spiral and they have all the really ornate designs in them and stuff like that, and it's the same theme, right? Kind of thing as they go up. That is music notes locked in stone, right? Just like how they do with when you see the resonance of certain things, like I'm sure you've seen the videos of they have a machine and they drop sand on it or whatever, and then play a tone, and it spreads out and becomes a geometrical design, right? Well, those are all notes. It's proven already, right? That's music. That's a sound, shall we say? So they've incorporated that into just like that into the stone. Um, the old fancy historical buildings and stuff like that, and cathedrals and all kinds of different places like this, right? Um, Even in the temples, all over the realm, it's sound locked in stone. Why they did it, I'm not sure, right? But it's like a record player or a record, old time records. Even if you're young, you've probably seen them, videos of them and stuff, how they're just a black disc with grooves in it. How the hell did they get sound in that? Do you know what I mean? How come you can hear music out of that stuff and voices? It's the same thing. Sound locked in vinyl. I'm not a scientist or engineer, but yeah, strange. Why do they do it? They rule us with sound if you think about it, right? Sirens. They start in school. Bells, right? Sound, sirens. Even when you go into stores to shop, they have music playing, all right? The worst sound is the siren. It instills a different kind of fearing to you, attention, right? Everything is sound. They rule through sound. Hence the frequency war, the frequency weapons, right? It's funny. I was watching one of my fake Iranian nomad YouTube channels yesterday, and one of the men in the video, he says, "I just realized that Iran is a superpower. We're the world power. We're the strongest country in the world." And I was like, "Oh man, he's vaxxed. He's listening to the propaganda that the Islamic regime's putting out, and he believes it, right? It isn't that something?" But yeah, I guess they're threatening to blow up everybody, right? Because supposedly they had people come in with nukes in briefcases or suitcases, and they're planted all over the countries in the realm, right? You know what I mean? And if we don't do what they say, they're gonna bomb us, right? You know what I say to that? Do it. Don't threaten. Do it. Prove that you have this power, right? That's all. Do it. I don't care for your threats. They're weak. You know what I mean? A true warrior doesn't threaten. They just do it. Just like with any nuclear bomb, just like with anything. you know, like locking us up in FEMA camps, just like that. What took so long? They haven't done it, have they? It's because it comes for them, not for us. You know what I mean? It's pretty pathetic, right? People threatening, or whatever they are, you know? It's ridiculous. My son had a good weekend with his girlfriend. She didn't spaz out or anything. She was able to keep her sanity, shall we say. So he's like, they had an okay weekend, right? I was like, well, right on. At least you didn't get in a fight, right? It's quiet here. No canines out walking. Barely anybody walking. It's just still and quiet. No wind, but cold, chilly. This bone biting cold. My son was like, you should turn up the heat. You might have to crank the heat today. It's like going to be minus 23. And I was like, the heat is cranked. You know, just have to put on extra clothes, deal with it. It would be nice to have a wood stove, though, instead of electric heat. A wood stove, oh, to warm your house up real good. But they took all that stuff away from us and blamed it on fires. Just like the lead in the paint. They took that away from us and said it was causing brain damage in children, right? But in actuality, it shielded our houses from their radio waves, their EMFs, you know, their microwaves, all the waves. There's many different kinds of waves in the ether. So, yeah. Did you know that real salmon is white? Pink salmon is farmed, right? Which is not healthy for us. Plus, they have parasites. So if you're eating pink salmon thinking it's fresh fish, it's not fresh fish. It's pretty much, you could call it GMO'd fish, right? Because they feed it pellets. We don't know what they're feeding it. But yeah, I was watching a travel adventure YouTuber in Africa yesterday, and he had salmon and it was white. And he explained that this was because this is fresh salmon. It's not farmed. Not that very interesting. I wonder if if it's available. Probably not, though, right? They don't want. And in this country in Africa, where he is at too, they don't pay taxes or anything to the government, right? They can set up a shop outside on the street corner. You know what I mean? You don't have to give anybody any money to do it. The police don't come and kick you out, right? Right on. That's how it's going to be all over the realm. That's how it was all over the realm. Plus, we didn't use money. Most times we bartered. You give me this because you need it, or because I need it, and I'll give you that because you need it. And then we're even, right? Bartering. I used to barter when I was a young girl. When I went to the stores, my mother used to always say, how do you get it for so cheap? And I just say, because I tell them, I can't afford that. I don't have that much money. And if they really want to make a sell, they'd sell it to you. Say, well, how much money do you have? Right? And I'd be like, $10, $20. And they'd be like, if they tried to sell me something else, I'd be like, no, I don't like those. I like these ones. But that's okay. I guess maybe I'll come back another day when I save up some money. And they'd end up giving it to me for what I had said I had. All right? So it used to amaze her. I don't know why. But yeah. All right. I told you everything. Essential symptoms aren't too bad. Just my calves are kind of bugging me. Oh, and there's mucus. Yesterday and today it was quite hard in the rise. I noticed my son was having it too. Right? So there's that. Right? My bones are always being icky lately, especially with the cold. And now this cloud shelf that, or whatever it is that came upon us here in Ontario is causing pressure, right? So we'll see how I feel throughout the day. I smudged with some sweet grass in the rise to change, to, clear my energy. We'll see how it goes. But I feel good. Do, 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 do. All right. Every day I am in alignment with my inner dragon. Every day I am grateful to the Great Spirit. And every day, I already said it, didn't I? But it's okay. I have more gratitude. I love you all as a consciousness. Enjoy this night or day. Thank yous for your likes, your comments, your views. Bye.